So we're going to do this literal practice for remediation. So what we're doing for all of these equations is we're solving them for y. So the whole point of this is to get the y by itself. So I'm going to click into this first one. If you'd like to pause this video and write the equation down so you can follow along, if you don't have access to this GoFormative, you can do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is identify that the y is right here. So that is the thing that has to stay. This is the thing that has to go. So how you get rid of that is you do the opposite. So we're going to take that minus 3x and we're going to do plus 3x on both sides. So I'll go plus 3x on this side, and I'll do plus 3x on this side. Okay. I'm going to bring down the y, because that is still there. Bring them straight down. My negative 3, positive 3 cancel out. Bring down my equal sign. And then one of the common mistakes that's made here is students will want to take this 5 and then will want to put it together with the 3 to make 8. You do not combine them because one of them has an x and the other one does not. So all you have to do is write them next to each other. And we like the x part to go first. So with the x part first, it would be 3x and 5. Now, we don't have to put the plus in front of the 3x because it's the only thing there. But since this 5 is positive, I'm going to put a plus sign here. That plus sign is not this plus sign. It is a plus sign because the 5 is positive. So if I typed that in, it would look like this. Y equals 3x plus 5. And that is your answer. Okay, let's click into another one. So number 2 here, again, I'm trying to identify, here is the letter y. So on this side of the equation, the y is the thing that has to stay. And the negative 14 is the thing that has to go. So to get rid of that negative 14, I'm going to do a plus 14. And then on this side, I'm going to do another plus 14. Okay, so the negative 14, positive 14 cancel each other out. Then I have y equals, and then I write these two numbers next to each other. Do not add them together to be 16, because they're not like terms. So the x part goes first, and then the number. And I would type that in to my answer blank. Okay. Okay, let's go down to one that's a little bit more difficult. So let's go down to number 4. So the reason this one is a little bit more difficult is I still have the y that I'm looking for, but this time there's a minus sign in front of that y, which does change the problem just a little bit. Okay, so again, on the side of the equation where the y is, the y has to stay, so that means this 6x has to go. The opposite of 6x is minus 6x. So do that on both sides. Okay? And this is the part that a lot of people forget. When you bring down this y, you have to bring down the y, but you also have to bring down the negative in front of the y, which, if it helps you to remember, is actually a negative 1y. Equals. And then I need to write these two numbers next to each other, putting the x one first. So because that 6x, I know it says minus, but that just means I have a negative. So I'll put my negative 6x and my negative 11. Okay, one more step now. So that's what we did before. So now the added step is that I actually have to get rid of this -1 as well. So to get rid of that -1, I'm going to divide every single piece by -1. Okay, so on this left-hand side over here, negative divided by negative is just a positive y, which is what I want. A negative divided by a negative is a +6. And a negative divided by a negative is also a positive, and then 11. And that's our answer. So we have to get the y by itself, and that includes any negative signs in front of the y. So that was this problem right here, which is a level 2 on the scale. Okay, so now let's get into that last type. The last type you'll see down on problems 7 and 8 down here, so I'll scroll down here. So again, on the side where the y is, this part has to stay for now. This is the part that has to go. So I'm going to get rid of that -2x by doing +2x on both sides. Okay, I'm going to bring down the 3y. And then I have to put those two numbers, putting the x part first, it's a +2x, and it's a +7. Put those two together. And now, instead of having a -1 in the front, I have a 3 in the front. So now I have to divide every single number by 3. And you might be thinking, how do I divide it by 3? 7 doesn't divide by 3. And you would be correct. So then what we're going to do is when we actually type this in, we're going to leave these as fractions. So y equals 2/3x, and then 7/3. Now to get this divide in your answer blank over here, you're going to use the button on your computer. So find the button on your computer that has the question mark on it. So the question mark button, and then it has a backslash. This backslash is how you get a fraction into the actual blank. So I'll go y equals 2 backslash. And then I'll put the 3 on the bottom. You can either click outside of the fraction or you can hit the over button to get your x out of the bottom, because otherwise it would look like this, and you don't want your x to be in the bottom. Okay, that's a completely different thing. It means something different. So get that out of the bottom. So put that x on the side plus, and then 7 backslash 3. So that backslash is going to give you that fraction in the Go formative. And that's a level 3. And if you can get through the levels 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3, the level 4 is actually it's actually much easier. Some people think it's easier because it's a little easier on your brain. Let's do this one. Because the numbers actually come out nice. Okay? So what I mean by that is when we actually divide, you won't have fractions. Okay? So here's our line through the middle. On the side where the y is, get rid of this chunk. Okay, so this time I'm going to add. It's a -6x, so the opposite is to add the 6x. So then my next line down would be 2y equals, and then put those two together, x part first, and then the number, so 6x plus 12. And now we're going to divide every number by 2. Okay, so this is what I mean by it might be a little bit easier because the numbers actually can be divided by 2. So your final answer here is y equals 3x plus 6. Okay, and we would type that into the blank and be done.